Hello, world. Welcome to the Shannon Joy Show. Hello, world, and welcome to the Shannon Joy Show. We're broadcasting live from the Joy Virtual Studio right here in the beautiful Finger Lakes region of New York State. It is so good to be with all of you today. It is Tuesday, March 31st. We have made it through March, the Ides of March. I always have my hackles up during the Ides of March, and I think we made it through, but there is a lot to discuss today. I hope you're all doing well. We're broadcasting live from Rumble. We're live on Twitter, Spreely TV, Roku, Apple TV. We're live on Substack. We're live on Twitter. If you like the SJ show, please give us a like, a thumbs up, a share, a comment. Join the live chats. Of course, I'm keeping an eye on the live chat here on Rumble. Very lively as always. Annie Cyrus is producing the show today, and she is keeping an eye on the live chat on Twitter and Substack. So if you are watching live on either of those platforms, make sure you pop up your questions, your comments. I'm going to get to all of you today because it's just you and me, mano y mano, in the studio today. No guests, but a lot of headlines to go over. It just keeps getting crazier. I can't believe the nature of my job. I thought, when I started this show 12 years ago, we'd be analyzing the news from a conservative perspective. I started a radio show, and never in a million years would I imagine today, completely independent, outside of the two-party political paradigm, not red-pilled or blue-pilled, kind of black-pilled, but ultimately white-pilled, right? The truth shall set you free. And when you begin to operate outside of that two-party political paradigm, left-wing news media, right-wing news media, Democrat, Republican, you begin to see everything in a different light. And you really don't trust any sources, especially mainstream news media sources. And I have a story today that we are going to I'm going to do a deep dive in this, because there are multiple stories out there as we are looking at the funding mechanisms behind some of the biggest networks in right-wing news media, not just Fox News, but networks like General Flynn's network and Salem Media. This deep dive, it is now, and we're going to go into this a little bit later, as investigators, independents are looking into these funding mechanisms, they're finding that some of the biggest voices in right-wing news media are being funded by foreign governments, foreign agencies, and even entities hostile to the United States of America, and that's on the right wing. Now, we know that we can't trust left-wing news media. We know that the mainstream news media apparatus is completely captured in their own way. But many falsely believe that somehow right-wing news media is free of those funding mechanisms and that they are not pushing out propaganda. They are pushing out propaganda. And that propaganda plays nicely with left-wing propaganda, and they play against each other constantly for a larger agenda, right? So this is one psyop wrapped in another psyop, wrapped in a military operation, and it is just all so chaotic. It is why it is so difficult to trust so many of even the biggest voices out there. So we're going to begin this discussion today with this news report on Salem Media, absolute bombshell. The Charlie Kirk Show, TPUSA, Josh Hammer, Dennis Prager, Laura Trump, Larry Elder, Hugh Hewitt, Dinesh D'Souza, Sebastian Gorka, Brandon Tatum, and Todd Starnes, all wrapped up in a very, very shady deal with Salem Networks. So we're going to look at that today. That was sent to me by the great Tiffany Cianci. She is the Vino mom. She's a regular guest on the SJ show. Sent me that this morning. Kind of blew my mind. So we're going to look at that in a bit today. Also, you see the headline of today. The Mad King Trump admits that his ballroom is not a ballroom. It's a bunker, or maybe something worse. World War III incoming and other insane headlines that we'll cover today. But we were right. Over a month ago, I did a full deep dive on what's underneath Donald Trump's bunker or Donald Trump's ballroom with a great report from the Dre dossier. We're going to look at that and what Trump revealed yesterday in his own words. He admitted it, that it has nothing to do with a ballroom. It's actually a massive, massive military bunker capable of all kinds of nasty things. And oh, by the way, it's completely privately funded. So it's not even ours. It's not even belonging to the taxpayers. This is a privately funded basement bunker slash data center, impervious to drone attacks and, I don't know, a nuclear holocaust, built by private funders for Donald Trump underneath the White House. It makes you wonder, like, what do they have up their sleeves? What do they know that we don't know that is incoming that would necessitate the hurried building of this apparatus? All kinds of headlines out there on the billionaire class, Mark Zuckerberg, the tech bros building all sorts of bunkers. What do they know that we don't know? That's what you have to think about. So lies, damn lies, and complete whoppers is the theme of today's show because you just can't believe anything they say. Months and months and months of headlines from the Trump organization, right-wing news media about the big, beautiful ballroom. All of it lies. All of it lies, right? And today we're supposed to trust President Trump to lead 57,000 American troops into World War III, while he just brazenly and blatantly lies about everything, mocking the citizens of the United States of America and the truth in the process. So at this point, it's just utterly and absolutely absurd. Everything he says is a lie and a manipulation. And he moves through his lies so quickly. And you'll see in the clip that I play for you today where he just admits it. He's like, oh, by the way, here are the blueprints for the ballroom, but it's not really a ballroom. Like some dumb lawsuit came out, and now we have to, there's a FOIA request and discovery, and now we have to admit that everything I said to you was a lie. And he just says it right in front of him. He's proud. He's loud. He owns it. And it's just so unsettling, almost sadistic when you think about it. He seems to enjoy lying blatantly to our face, like twisting the knife, like because it puts him in a position of power. It's very similar to the statement that he made very early in his candidacy for his first term as president of the United States of America, where he said, I could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and my MAGA supporters would still support me. That is the ultimate in the humiliation ritual. He can lie to you, cheat on you, shoot you in the face, and you're still going to support him. And amazingly, there is still a small faction of just diehard supporters, mainly in right-wing news media, probably because they're being paid to do so, but also within his own constituency base and his cabinet. The cabinet meetings are insane. The cabinet meetings are insane. Like he holds court and his cabinet members heap praise upon praise of Donald Trump. You are the most brilliant, the most handsome. You fight the best wars and the baddest wars. Your economy is the best economy ever. It is the golden economy. What would we ever do without you, Donald Trump? I mean, these are heads of state, cabinet members, Hegseth and Rubio and the Secretary of the Treasury. And I mean, it's just insane. It's insane to watch. And then everyone with cameras recording this, it's like with a straight face. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I am in Hans Christian Andersen's The Emperor with No Clothes. Like he's literally parading down the street, buck naked. And everyone's like, wow, look at your beautiful robes, Donald Trump, at least within his inner circle. It's so unsettling to witness from the outside. And he is a complete sadist. He's enjoying this, believe me. So the latest is the revelation that the ballroom was never a ballroom, and it's actually a top secret underground bunker. And Everyone's just like, yeah, well, okay. So we're supposed to trust him in his justification for sending 57,000 troops into Iran. And the videos are heartbreaking, absolutely heartbreaking. Moms and dads clinging to their sons and daughters, one last hug before they send them off to fight a war for a mad king with no justification whatsoever. No evidence of weapons of mass destruction, no evidence of any imminent threat to the United States of America, no evidence of any real justification for this war, yet here we go. And what is the likelihood? You know, it looks as if they are trying to get us, we the people, the United States of America, entangled in a prolonged war, potentially an escalated war, World War III. And how do they do that? Well, listen, 80% of the American people are against this war. And 8 million people turned out over the weekend. And Republicans can mock the No Kings rallies. But I assure you, 8 million people in the streets and protests popping up across the globe, protesting this president, this country, and this war is nothing to scoff at. Nearly 70% of Americans now in multiple polling disapprove of Trump's presidency, his handling of the economy and the war. Global leaders are now mobilizing to assess the situation in Iran and U.S. military actions abroad. They are freaking out about the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, of the disruptions to supply lines, the price of energy, the price of gas, and they are worried that they will not be able to feed their people. Fertilizer not being able to be shipped across the globe, and predictions now of skyrocketing food prices for everyone, shortages, and even people warning of famine. No one is behind what this president is doing if you talk to a real person. Now, I'm sure that the talking heads in right-wing media who are paid to deliver the most absurd headlines that I've ever witnessed. Right-wing commentators who have now betrayed every principle they have ever held dear for the past 20 to 30 years. They will continue with this madness, and they'll subject their own audiences to this madness and drive their own audiences mad with the hypocrisy, the flip-flopping, and the outright lies. But make no mistake, people are very unsettled. I think most of you watching today are very unsettled. And so we're going to go through some of these headlines and assess and address the news of the day together. Because I don't know, am I the only one out here that is just, I mean, I look at these headlines and I can't even, it's madness. It's complete madness. So yeah, we got a lot to go over today. We're going to look at Trump's ballroom actually being a bunker. More news on the lockdowns, the energy lockdowns incoming. We saw all the headlines across the globe last week of energy lockdowns, very similar rhetoric to what we saw during the COVID lockdowns of 2020. Well, they have come to the United States of America. Denver is now imposing severe water restrictions on their citizens. New York City could soon force lights off at night under a new dark skies plan. Now they're saying it is to protect the environment and cut down on light pollution. But I think this is just a new normalization of the lockdown era, essential versus non-essential. In fact, in the piece that I linked in the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show, they talked about essential businesses and essential operations versus non-essential. And of course, restaurants, small businesses, mom and pop businesses, just like COVID-19, will never be essential. The only essential businesses will be the ones who are tethered to the ruling class. And so we're already seeing that rhetoric in the two pieces that I linked into the show notes of today's show. Prepare to see more stories about lockdowns, more chaos in American airports. We have another story linked to the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show and video now. Tom Homan now says that ICE will be deployed indefinitely in airports. We were right about it once again. This had nothing to do with a government shutdown. This had nothing to do with budget restrictions. This had nothing to do with TSA. This is Trump's normalization of the militarization and police state actions in the interior of the United States of America. And I was ringing the alarm bell about this during the Minneapolis, Minnesota situation, where Trump deployed ICE agents illegally and unconstitutionally into the streets of Minnesota under the guise of cleaning up illegal immigration. And instead, they shot 2 American citizens and abused hundreds, if not thousands, of American citizens in the streets of Minneapolis. It was not about immigration. It was about normalizing and deploying Trump's police state. And I said at the time, I wasn't being hyperbolic when I used the term Gestapo. We now see that they are going to expand the role of ICE agents, which many would argue is unconstitutional and illegal. These men are not wearing badges. They're not wearing uniforms. They're not wearing, in many cases, they're wearing masks. We saw that in Minnesota. And now they will be deployed, it seems, permanently in airports across the United States of America. As we begin to see, and watch the airports and the airlines. Flights are already skyrocketing. Fuel prices plus whatever's going on in the interior with these airports, something very sketchy. I know it's something sketchy, and I know it's a psyop because Steve Bannon had this to say about it. And I linked a clip of Steve Bannon as well. He is now saying that ICE actions in Minneapolis and in United States airports are now a template and a precursor for the midterm elections. So make no mistake, they are building up this domestic police force, militarized police force that operates at the pleasure of the United States of America under Tom Homan to be deployed into the interior of the US, first for immigration, then to take care of whatever the gaps were in services from the TSA, which was a farce. And what are they ultimately going to do? They're going to monitor US elections at the point of a gun. Very destabilizing. And I don't trust any of it. I don't trust any of it. So these are the headlines we're going to take a look at today on the SJ Show. One more, actually. This is a piece from a local news organization in South Carolina. And the headline here is, again, off the headlines are the Epstein files, probably on purpose. Very convenient war in Iran to distract everyone else from the villains within our own country. But it is now being reported that one of the 13-year-old accuser of Donald Trump has now had key details of her story verified. Very disturbing allegations in an FBI report regarding Donald Trump and severe sexual abuse, horrifying sexual abuse of a 13-year-old victim. You won't hear about this on right-wing news media because they are covering for this president. But it is now being reported that many key aspects of her story are being verified. It's interesting that there haven't been any investigations, multiple allegations of sexual abuse of a minor by Donald Trump in the Epstein files. And at the very least, we should be having investigations into this. But as of today, we have absolutely nothing. So that's what we're going to do today. Sounds like fun, doesn't it, everyone? First, we're going to thank one of our sponsors, and then I'm going to hit the live chat here and say hello to all of you. We have lots of chatters on Substack, lots of chatters on X as well, and of course on Rumble. So I'm going to get to you all in just a minute. But I want to thank our friends over at the Wellness Company. We welcomed Dr. Peter McCullough into the Joy Virtual Studio yesterday. And right around mid-month, we are going to welcome the amazing Dr. Kelly Victory into the Joy Virtual Studio. And Dr. Kelly Victory is actually battling breast cancer right now, which is absolutely tragic. But it is her story, and she's going to tell her story in just a couple weeks. And she's one of the people that you would never, ever, ever see it coming. She did everything right, right? She exercised, she ate very clean, she avoided processed foods, she had zero symptoms when she went in for a routine mammogram in 2023. And she walked out of that mammogram with a diagnosis of aggressive cancer that could have been fatal, actually, if it was found later. So it revealed a hard truth for Kelly. Even healthy people get cancer. And it exposed a much bigger issue. Most modern medicine is reactive and not preventative. You wait for a scare until you start to care. And every day, our bodies, as you all know, are under constant pressure from vaccines, as we know, stress, toxins, inflammation, and immune strain. The damage builds quietly over time, year after year, until disease starts to form. So, we've talked about all types of ways to treat and prevent cancers. We've talked about ivermectin. We've talked about fasting. We've talked about, as you know, avoiding vaccines. That's one of my main preventative measures when it comes to cancers. But Dr. Kelly Victory asks a different question. What can we do to daily support, or what can we do daily to support the body before something goes wrong? Now, this led her to formulate a product called Shield. So Shield is a two-part natural system. It's designed to support immune balance, antioxidant defense, and cellular health. Exactly the systems that you want to keep very strong to live a long, healthy life. In the morning, you drink a high-dose nutraceutical cocoa mix. Then with food, you take the soft gels. With ingredients like medicinal mushrooms, turmeric, green tea, olive leaf, berberine, and black cumin seed oil, Shield gives your body the tools it needs to keep your cells healthy. So right now, for the Joy audience, if you go to twc.health/joy, that's twc.health/joy, and use the promo code JOY, you'll get 10% off plus free shipping on all orders for U.S. residents. That's twc.health/joy, and make sure you use the promo code JOY to get 10% off plus free shipping. And by the way, you can use the promo code JOY for all of your purchases at twc.health/joy. They always have a discount for the Joy audience, and we are so thankful for their sponsorship. So with that being said, let's go to a quick break. When we come back, I'm going to hit the live chats. You are all very chatty today, very chatty on Substack and on X, and also on the Rumble live chat. So we're going to have a lively conversation as we work through the news today on the SJ Show. So keep it tuned right here during the break. Please give us a thumbs up, a like, a share, or a comment. It helps us grow that algorithm. And if you are listening to the SJ Show at your leisure via the podcast, here's what you can do to help grow the audience of the Shannon Joy Show. Give us a 5-star rating. If you love the show, please also leave a comment. That really helps to pump up that algorithm and grow the organic audience here on the SJ Show. We don't get any help from the algorithms. We're not in any of the paid pipelines for some of the biggest talkers, influencers, and media talking heads out there. We're doing this all on our own independently, which is why I need your help. So make sure in this break, if you think of it, to do all of those things I just talked about to help grow the Shannon Joy Show and grow organically. All right, we'll be back in a moment to continue the discussion right here on the SJ Show. Hey everyone, I just want to take a moment to thank one of my longtime friends, associates, my financial advisor, and a beloved sponsor of the Shannon Joy Show, Don Polano over at PCM and Associates. Don Polano, as many of you know, was the very first Shannon Joy Show advertiser almost 12 years ago, and he's been with us ever since. I trust Don Polano. He manages some of my assets and my retirement fund, and he's offering his services to all of you. He can take clients anywhere in the country and even across the globe over at PCM and Associates. And as you guys know, it is so important today. There's so much volatility and chaos. You need a human being, a person that you trust, and a person that shares your values. And that's Don Polano at PCM and Associates. So if you are looking for someone to help you manage your retirement or have investment advice, please consider calling Don Polano over at PCM Associates. His number, 1-800-536-1368. That's 1-800-536-1368. And of course, you can go to pcmpolano.com. That is pcmpolano.com to learn about all of his services and get in contact with his team. Again, so thankful for Don Polano at PCM and Associates, and I think that you are really going to appreciate his services. So that number again, 1-800-536-1368 for a financial advisor that you can trust. Hey everyone, I am so proud to recommend Shift Gold to this audience as the gold standard for metals purchasing and investing. I couldn't ask for a better partner to help people understand gold and silver and use them as strategic instruments to protect their family's financial future. Peter Schiff's teaching on markets has shaped my understanding of how economies grow and why they collapse. And I've used them as a critical source for my daily broadcast for over 10 years. The Shannon Joy Show audience already knows and loves Peter because he has been such a treasured educator over the years. He is now the preeminent source for rock solid financial analysis around the world. And this is because he understands the immutable laws of natural markets and his stalwart unwillingness to veer from absolute truths, regardless of economic fads and political pressures. Bottom line, he doesn't sell out. And that means a lot to me. I trust Shift Gold, and you can too. Go to shiftgold.com/joy today to get started. You'll find some of the lowest spot prices for gold and silver and critical information on protecting your retirement savings with a gold or silver IRA. That's www.shiftgold.com/joy. Hedge against the chaos with our friends over at Shift Gold. Welcome back, everyone, to the Shannon Joy Show. I see all of the comments on the live chat. And yes, my voice is a little horsey today, isn't it? It's a little bit, I feel fine. I don't have a cold. I feel absolutely fine. But it is a little scratchy today. Maybe something is setting in. I'm going to have to make sure to take my betadine nasal spray to make sure that nothing's incubating in the nose here. So yeah, I see that on the live chat. Great to be back with all of you. General Patton, I see you on the live chat. On Rumble, let's get to it. Ralph the Flying Dutchman is the very first chatter of the day. Great to see you, Ralph. We have CJP Rumble with us on the live chat. Buskman, of course, joins us today. Good to see you, Bill Benz, on the Rumble live chat. Mama C 1996. Hey, everyone. Hope it's a blessed day wherever you are. Mama C 1996. Who else do we have here? Zen Woman joins us on the live chat. Bill Benz with a comment. Remember when the whole team from Salem Media went over 2,000 mules and then did nothing with it for their trumpet acolyte idiots? I mean, that's the craziest thing. This narrative of stolen elections has been so prevalent and such a massive talking point for so many in right-wing news media, considering the fact that Donald Trump had the full power of the presidency, the Senate, and the House of Representatives for 2 full years in his first administration. He could have fixed everything. In the last 2 years of his administration, the very last year of his administration, Donald Trump sent mail-in ballots to all of his enemies so that they could mail him in and vote him out in the 2024 election. So he sabotaged himself, right? The Stop the Steal was proven to be a complete psyop and absolutely fake, and duped 1 million Trump supporters to come to the J6 rallies to stop the steal for Donald Trump when he did absolutely nothing, right, for them. I mean, the Trump administration and his organization has had every single opportunity, you could ever imagine to correct the situation in terms of balloting and election fraud in the US, and they never fix it. And they don't fix it on purpose because they always want to keep us unstable. They want us to shuffle off to the election booth every 4 years and vote between two false choices and believe that we actually have a say. We need to go through the pageantry and the ritual of that in order to lend our consent to the fake two-party political paradigm. So it's very necessary that the left and the right keep up the charade that elections actually matter, especially at the national level. But in addition to that, they also need to convince us that we can't trust the elections and that all of the elections are fraudulent. But at the same time, they also have to convince us that there's nothing they can do about it, right? This is why the people who run things are crazy. And this is why all of that type of coverage is absolutely crazy. It's a black hole that they want to drag you into that essentially at the very end of the day leaves you utterly and completely demoralized and depressed. That's why they do it. So great comment to start us off regarding the elections in Salem media, which is going to be the first story that we're going to go through today. So appreciate all of you. Edgar 615, great to see you on the live chat. Let's go to some of the other chatters. Arthur on Substack, great to see you. Arthur has this to say: I wonder how much of the 500 billion of taxpayers' money for AI will find its way into paying for the bunker. Well, Arthur, that's an interesting question. It is very important for these liars and shysters, con men and criminals who are building the secret bunker underneath the ballroom, attached to the White House and Washington, D.C. It's very important for them to make sure that no taxpayer dollars are even touching the construction or the funding of this ballroom, which is very important. If it isn't a government entity, if it's wholly private, then they don't have to disclose anything to us, we the people, the taxpayers, about what is going on in the bunker. I find that to be one of the most interesting elements of this massive construction project that is happening in Washington, D.C. It is not a government project. This is a private project, a militaristic project in nature. And it's funded by all of the usual suspects, right? Palantir, defense contractors, banksters, and oligarchical powers that are connected and tethered and probably run this administration. But Arthur goes on. He says, every globalist enjoys lying and playing with the minds of the masses. They like to swat us around like mice. They like to play games with us. I don't disagree with that. That's why the nature of what Trump is doing, the gaslighting, is sadistic. I mentioned that word in the intro of the Shannon Joy Show. And I do think that Trump is sadistic. I think he has a personality type that is narcissistic and psychopathic, and he enjoys inflicting pain. This is why I tend to believe the accusations of extreme violence and rape and assault that are leveled against Trump and that were leveled against him in the lead up to his candidacy for the presidency of the United States of America in those years. I never discounted the victims. Sure, a good portion of them or a good number of them might have been making things up, but you don't get dozens and dozens of stories, all the same story. Trump, in his own words, talking about grabbing women by the genitalia because he can, because he likes to make them feel uncomfortable. Walking into a room of young women in the Miss USA pageant when they are in various states of undress and doing it just because he could to make them feel uncomfortable. That's a certain personality type. And in those years, he subjected women and business associates to his sick and sadistic personality type. Now, in the presidency of the United States of America, he can subject his cabinet, his campaign team, his employees, and the nation to this. And I think that's what we're seeing today. So, as Arthur said, they enjoy playing with their prey. He goes on, wars are profitable for TEPTB, I love this, the evil predators that be, and they are instrumental in eliminating excess population. I do not disagree. Another comment on Substack from Ronald Wortham. Great to see you. Pretty soon he'll be doing the alligator twirl on all these Trump nimrods. Yeah, I know. The top floor is a ballroom. So, I mean, very narrowly, Trump is telling the truth. Underneath the massive bunker and the massive data center and the control room, the private militaristic control room, they have a little ballroom up top. So I guess give that to Steve Bannon. He can tell his audience that everything Trump says is the truth because there's a sliver there, right? I see you, Johnny Utah, on YouTube. Great to see you. Deepwater One is also on YouTube. Trump's ballroom bunker is a demonic occult sacrificing ritual dungeon. Well, tell me what you really think, Deepwater One. Listen, nothing would surprise me these days. Nothing would surprise me. Who else do we have here? On Substack, Stuart Cohen, Shannon Joy is better than Joy Reid. Well, okay. People actually think I'm a liberal. That's the craziest thing. Every one of my positions in terms of principle, I am like rock solid, constitutional, liberty loving, free market, fiscal conservative. I love this country. I love our Constitution and the founding. I mean, you could not find a more conservative gal if you looked. I mean, I'm a Christian. I've been a Christian my entire life. I mean, all of the things. And people actually, because I critique Trump, that's it. That's it. The only reason, even if my critique is from a conservative and constitutional point of view and perspective, just the mere fact that I dare to critique Donald Trump sends the MAGA bots and trolls and the Trump humpers into absolute hysteria. And I get the libtard, your Joy Reid, I mean, you have TDS, all of the things. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. Deepwater One from YouTube, Trump is building his own military army in the US. The unmarked ICE agents that cover their faces are foreign military contractors and IDF trained troops. That's actually been proved. Very, very disturbing. This is why I have reported extensively on Trump's use of ICE agents, essentially creating his own Gestapo police military force here in the US. It's why he's deployed them to Minneapolis, Minnesota. It's why he is now deploying them to airports across the country permanently. And it is why he is going to deploy them to election sites in anticipation of the midterms. Is this why Donald Trump isn't worried about the midterms? I mean, that's a very real question to ask ourselves. His polling is plummeting. It is going to be a bloodbath in the midterms. There's no walking this back. He is now the most universally disliked president in the history of the United States of America, according to the polling. And this is polling of Democrats, Republicans, and most importantly, independents. And it's only going down. But this is not impacting his administration. Trump isn't pivoting. He isn't moving in a different direction. A president who was concerned about losing an election in the midterms would be pivoting today. He wouldn't be sending 57,000 more troops to be deployed on the ground in Iran in the most unpopular war we've ever witnessed, even before their boots touched the ground. 8 million people turning out for No Kings rallies and global rallies popping up all over the world in opposition to this president. Why isn't he more concerned? That's what we should all be asking ourselves. And it should be unsettling to everyone who is watching today. We have a mad king. He is out of control. It is unclear if he is in the driver's seat or doing what he's being told to do. But clearly something incredibly sadistic and unprecedented is happening in this country. And they're doing it right in front of our faces and very blatantly. Who else do we have here on the live chat? I'm loving the Substack commenters and I'm loving the Rumble commenters as well. We're going to get to you guys. Karen on Substack says, I think the election fairness is an issue, but he is trying to definitely disenfranchise actual voters. I heard arguments from people who changed their legal names who would lose the ability to vote because they don't remember where they changed their legal names decades ago. It's almost as if he's joined the globalist deep state cabal, the Rothschilds or whomever, USAID, Soros, donors, etc., are connected to on this issue. Yeah, I think the psyop, like the goal is to convince us and manipulate us into participating in the pageantry of elections, even though we know that the elections are completely fraudulent. And that's where the psychotic break happens. I mean, that's where they break people's will, where we become, or they try to disconnect us from reality, from what we can see with our own eyes and our own ears. It's entirely Orwellian. I mean, it's the last chapter of George Orwell's 1984, when Winston, who has been resisting, looking for the truth, seeking out the truth, knowing that something is wrong, knowing that his government is lying to him, dealing with war forevermore, perpetual war, perpetual hypocrisy, perpetual lies, right? And he's resisting it. And finally, at the end of the day, the truth is revealed. And they say to him, Winston, you know that 2 + 2 is 5. And he's like, no, it's 4. No, Winston, you know it's 5. No, it's 4. No, Winston, it's 5. And at the end, he breaks. He has a psychotic breakdown and he becomes a plebe and a servant and a slave because they've broken him. This is severe psychological trauma that they're inflicting on the masses. And they're using very, very disturbing imagery, sophisticated psychological operations, and the internet to do so. That's just my opinion. I don't know if you guys feel this way, but that's where I am with this. It's the headlines are so absurd. They're just so absurd that I don't know how anyone can come to any other conclusion. Jeremiah is with us on Substack. Hey, Jeremiah, great to see you. May I interview you soon? Well, I love doing interviews, so I don't see why not. Reach out to me for sure. Let's go to the live chat on Rumble. I'm having a lot of fun with the live chat today. You guys are even more fun than some of my guests. Zen Woman on the live chat on Rumble. Let me see your comments. Zen Woman, but Shannon, 2 + 2 does equal 5. That's where they want us. Like they literally want, it's like standing on your lawn with a crazy neighbor. And he's like, the sky is green and the lawn is blue. And you're like, no, that's not true. The lawn is green and the sky is blue. And they just say it over and over and bang you over the head with it until you're like, am I in another reality? And it's just crazy. Honor Seeker. So Trump is building a private bunker on government property. Yes, Honor Seeker, that is exactly what he is doing. Let's go to the videos. Why don't we? I have a video in the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show, and we're going to get to this piece on Salem Media. Don't you worry. But let's talk about the bunker first. And I'm going to, let's use, Annie, let's go to my video first. I pulled a clip and ran it yesterday because over a month ago, I presented to you a deep dive on what was really going on underneath the ballroom. And a lot of people said that I was crazy and a conspiracy theorist. And I was using a phenomenal report from the Dre dossier, where we told you exactly what was going on underneath the bunker. So Annie, let's roll that first. This is my assessment over a month ago. And then we will go to Trump's admission. He is admitting in this video that just went viral yesterday, number one, that it's not a ballroom, it's a bunker and something worse. And number two, it is completely privately funded, which should be concerning to everyone. But no one in right-wing news media will talk about this. Let's go to my video, Annie. Let's take a look at what we had to say. See, this is why you watch the Shannon Joy Show, because we get to the truth, and we usually get to the truth way before anyone else does. Let's take a look. You see the headline today, Trump's bunker ballroom. Is it really a ballroom? A phenomenal Substack from the Dre dossier that I mentioned last week on the Shannon Joy Show, a deep dive into what is really going down under on the White House. More and more evidence coming out that there's no way that this is a ballroom. There might be some kind of ballroom sitting on top of whatever it is they're doing down below. But this piece by Dre over at the Dre dossier It's probably the best sourced and most informative piece, complete with all of the links and the source materials that she used. We're going to go through this with a fine-tooth comb because it is going to matter to all of you. What are they building and what are they deploying against the citizens of the United States of America? As we ramp down the action in the Middle East, it seems as though the neocons, Donald Trump, and the war hawks are ramping up in our own hemisphere with actions in Venezuela, potential actions in Canada and Greenland, and actions within our own country. The war machine that has been deployed across the globe for so many decades, it appears is now being deployed against us. And one does get the sense that our government just might be waging war against its own citizens. So that was me, Shannon Joy, a little over a month ago. And many of the things that I mentioned there in that segment have actually come to pass. At that time, we had not declared war on Iran and the Middle East. In fact, we were in a state of relative peace. I mean, the government or the U.S. military, Donald Trump had said they'd gone into Iran. They had taken out all of the nuclear enrichment capabilities, uranium enrichment capabilities, and it seemed to be ramping down at the time. But at the same time, today, fast forward, it looks as if they're ramping up abroad and here at home. But the Dre dossier, if you want that entire report, was a phenomenal report. And she was right and we were right, because just yesterday, this is what Trump had to say about his ballroom, which he lied to about for the better part of his second presidency. This is a stunner. Let's take a look at what he had to say about what's going on underneath that ballroom.
This is a view of the columns as they are going to be made. They're going to be hand carved and they're beautiful. Top of the line. They'll be Corinthian, which is considered the best, most beautiful by far. Okay.
What's your timeline on this thing?
Timeline. So we're ahead of schedule and under budget, and all of this money, all of the money paid are paid by myself and donors, and it's all donors. There's not one dime of government money going into the ballroom. Now the military is building a big complex under the ballroom, which has come out recently because of a stupid lawsuit that was filed. But the military is building a massive complex under the ballroom, and that's under construction, and we're doing very well. So we're ahead of schedule. That's part of it. The ballroom essentially becomes a shed for what's being built under the military, including from drones and including from any other thing. The glass on the windows, you see the big windows, the glass is extremely thick. It's high-grade bulletproof glass, so all of the windows are bulletproof. I think the Times wrote, gee, some of the windows are fake. We have no fake windows. They talked about a stairway in the south. We don't have a stairway in the south. That was replaced a long time ago. But this is a view of it from the north, and that's, if you see it, it fits in with the White House. It's almost a twin to the White House. It's something we just wanted to pay tribute to the White House. And so that fits in beautifully. Let me just see another one. Here's another one. Wait, excuse me, wait. I thought I'd do this now because it's easier. I'm so busy that I don't have time to do this. But
we don't need any more. He goes on and on and on. A shed. Donald Trump calls it the ballroom is really a shed. It's a shed for what's being built underneath, which he says is a massive military complex. Now, all of the money, he said in this statement, is coming from myself and donors. The only reason he's admitting to what's actually going on underneath the ballroom is because of a stupid lawsuit that was filed and likely FOIA requests, and also it's probably moving towards discovery. Now, it's unclear. The one thing I did notice and pick up in that statement, is that he said the military is building a massive complex underneath. So at this point, I'm wondering if the monies are separated, if the monies for the ballroom are coming from private donors and Trump, and the monies for what's going underneath the ballroom are coming from our own U.S. military. That will be very important as we begin to figure out what they're actually doing. Like, this is disgusting. This is insane. This lends, it breathes oxygen into all of the rumors about underground tunnels and underground systems and underground things that are going on. And it makes you wonder again, what are they preparing for? What are they preparing for? Mr. Worthless Eater on the live chat said the Trump ballroom is a doomsday digital panopticon prison control bunker and may prove that Trump will be America's last president as theorized. Everything is very weird. Everything is very weird. Trump is not acting like a president who is worried about the midterms. That's really what every person watching today and listening today needs to begin to process. He is not acting like, and people say to me, I had Peter Schiff on last week, and he was mentioning the midterms. And a lot of independent reporters and a lot of the mainstream media is talking about the midterms and analyzing the news and politics in context of an election that is going to happen in 2026. But the guy in control doesn't seem worried at all about an election in 2026. And I think we have to do business with that. I think we have to acknowledge that and address that, because if that's the case, then every ounce of analysis that is pummeling you right now from left-wing media or right-wing media is false. It's based upon a false premise. This is something I've been talking about for 10 years, that I believe the premise of D versus R has always been a false premise. They've always been working together. Two sides of the Hegelian dialectic, two false choices, working together in tandem to move us to more government control, a new world order, a 21st century technocratic, fascistic police state and surveillance state. You name the things that they would like to do to us. These megalomaniac control freak lunatics do not have any respect for human sovereignty, human liberty, human dignity, our rights, our children. They have no respect whatsoever. They're moving fast, and it's a little discomforting. I just have to say that. Proctor Surf is with us on the live chat on Rumble. Shannon, take the time to read Klaus Schwab's book, The Fourth Industrial Revolution. It's literally the blueprint behind the Death Star of technocracy and ties everything together. They do present this very blatantly, and I appreciate that recommendation, Proctor Surf. And yes, I do tend to believe that Donald Trump is playing a role. I don't think he's the guy in charge. I still believe that he is playing his role, but I also am starting to believe that he's a little more powerful than I gave him credit for. And he's making deals with some really bad people. It's like a crime family. It's like we're dealing with the mafia, like a criminal enterprise. And you can get the sense that the factions are warring. It's crazy. Ollie Robin 9, great to see you on live chat. Hey, Fez Woody. Hey, what happened to the alien disclosure? Maybe they need the ballroom to be finished first, as they can't live above the ground. I think the alien thing is a psyop, and I think what's happened with the alien thing is that everyone has called their bluff. There are no aliens. There's no evidence of aliens. They'd like us to think that there are aliens because, well, that's a super scary thing that they can scare us with, just like all of the other fear porn they use to diminish our rights and our agency. And so, yeah, I mean, when all else fails, trot out the aliens. And we've seen them all do it. Tucker, Carlson, heads of state. It's quite ridiculous, but no one's buying the aliens, and it might just be time. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. Usually around this time, I mean, they all want World War III, because that's always convenient for locking people down again and having an energy crisis. And boots on the ground, troops in the street, you name it, essential versus non-essential. I mean, they love it when they can use a pandemic to get us to do those things, but it's so much more effective when they have an actual war like World War III. And I wouldn't put anything past these guys. I wouldn't put it past them to drop a nuke somewhere in a theater of war to justify full-scale military engagement and the whole thing, right? To draw the United States fully in to a World War III situation. I think we all have to be prepared for that. The question is, are you going to believe it, right? When it happens, say, for example, hypothetically, they drop a nuke. First of all, let's pray that we're not in the theater of war, wherever they decide to drop it. But if they did, are we going to believe the narrative? Are we going to believe that it was a rogue Iranian terrorist who got his hands on a nuke and dropped it on our heads here in the US? Or are we going to, again, continue to pursue the line of thought, well, maybe the calls are coming from inside the house. Maybe it just works so well for them to terrorize their own citizens, for our own government to terrorize their own citizens, to create an excuse or to create a justification for their expansion of power and to distract us away from the economy that they're cratering. They're destroying our dollar. Nothing, I mean, food prices, energy prices, travel, you name it, everything. They're destroying everything. They're taking a bulldozer to everything. Chaos as far as the eye can see. It does feel very much to me the darkness and just the leveling of one bizarre psyop and bizarre headline after another. It feels very COVID-esque to me right now. The absurdity of everything. And I actually take some comfort in that because we survived COVID, many of us. And a good 20-30% of us survived without having to take their shots. So, this kind of sense of wariness about where things are going, I'm getting the same vibes that I had during COVID. And the lockdown rhetoric is one area where we're seeing a lot of similarities. I have two pieces here that are linked in the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show. First, water restrictions in Denver. This is from Zero Hedge. Restaurants in Colorado's capital are now only allowed to serve water to guests if they ask, according to new restrictions by the Denver Board of Water Commissioners. So my guess is that water shortages are going to become very common headlines over the next few years as they try to build these massive, massive data centers. The data centers are being built to surveil the American population and control us. That's why they're being built, not for convenience, not for faster processing time, not for any type of like brilliant AI that is going to cure cancer. The data centers are being built to corral and control and surveil every American and deal with all of the data that they're going to need to process once they chip us or make us use digital IDs or digital currencies. So that's why they want the data centers. And the data centers are also going to have the added benefit for our control freak lunatic rulers of taxing the energy supply, the energy grid, but also our water sources. And so we are going to see in Ohio and in Texas, it is the worst. Texas is in the crosshairs. They have the largest number of data centers that are being approved for construction in the state of Texas. Ohio is another area. And so we're going to see water restrictions. The rules were issued in the Mile High City after the commissioners declared a stage 1 drought and made plans to seek a 20% reduction in water use. They're going to try to call this drought. It's not going to be a drought. This is going to come from the usage of water to cool these data centers. And I have an expert that I'm talking to. She's brilliant. She wrote a Substack on this. It's not linked in the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show, but I'm going to rustle it up later this week and we'll have her in to talk about what's going down with the data centers. The data centers, we need to stop them, just point blank, point blank. This is from New York City, Operation Dark Skies. How does that sound? This is a continuation of the lockdown rhetoric, right? The energy crisis that they created is now going to be used to lock us down again. It's going to be energy lockdowns. It's also going to help the left justify some of their wildest dreams about curbing energy usage, right? Because they'll have an excuse to do so. Now, New Yorkers may be soon forced to turn off lights. This is from the New York Post. Lawmakers in the Empire State are considering the New York State Dark Skies Protection Act, a bill, they say, that is designed to reduce light pollution across the state. I think that is a ruse, but the idea is simple: to cut down on wasted energy, reduce bright sky glow, and make it easier to actually see the night sky again. We are going to pass a law that would affect outdoor lighting across New York. So not just in New York City. This is in the entire state, including homes, businesses, and public spaces. Some lights would have, and they're already using the essential versus non-essential rhetoric. Some lights would have to turn off at 11 p.m. The bill targets lighting used in outdoor venues, places like parks, amphitheaters, sports facilities. They'd have to turn off their lights between 11 p.m. and 5 p.m. unless an event is still happening. Other lights could only remain on if they are motion activated or programmed to shut off automatically. The proposal would determine essential lighting versus non-essential lighting. And essential lighting, they say, would not be limited: highways, airports, emergency services, etc. But of course, the cronies will get the carve outs. We saw that in COVID-19 when they determined essential versus non-essential. Everyone non-essential is you and me. Everyone essential is anyone connected or tethered to the ruling class and the government authorities. Lights would now have to point down, they say. Another big change involves outdoor lighting fixtures. So most outdoor lights, if this is passed, would have to be shielded, meaning they must point downward instead of shining up into the sky or across neighborhoods. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. So that is happening. Operation Dark Skies. Look for more headlines like this: water, energy, lighting. The lockdowns are coming, just under a different name. And it is not lost on me that the lockdowner in chief that we stupidly elected again after he locked us down the first time is the guy who's doing it again. Now, Trump's not saying anything about it, but it's happening under his administration, and his actions that he is taking as executive, as the chief law enforcement officer, the chief executive presidency of the United States of America, in waging war with Iran and creating the energy crisis that he's creating. I mean, this is all his fault. I mean, we're reacting to a created chaos, curated chaos, curated crisis. Problem, reaction, solution. It's crazy. Let's go to the live chat very quickly. Ollie Robin 9, most light pollution comes from highway and street lighting. Ollie Robin, they're saying this is about light pollution. This has absolutely nothing to do with light pollution. This is going to have to do with the taxing of the energy grid, skyrocketing oil prices because of Trump's actions in Iran, an energy crisis that is sweeping across the globe that they have created. Also, and so everything they're doing is controlled chaos. And they're going to call it light pollution, but it has nothing to do with that. This is going to cover up what they're really doing. And that is essentially shutting down the world. It's crazy. Fez Woody is with us on the live chat. Great to see you. Mr. Worthless Eater is with us on the live chat as well. Do Not Obey says, fear the fear. Well, that is the truth. I mean, listen, these headlines are dystopian. They're horrifying. Again, I mean, not a fun job that I have, by the way, having to process all of this. And I often wish that I was a normie and like all of my friends and my husband and my family, they have like real jobs. They can bury their head in the sand and not pay attention to what's going on every day. I desperately wish that were my job right now, but unfortunately, I get the fire hose in the face every day and have to take a look at what's going on and try to figure out. I mean, I can't figure out everything that's going on. There are way too many psyops happening. I can't know everything. I don't have the appropriate expertise. Like no one can know everything, but somehow all of this is fitting together. And you can, if you read past the headlines, begin to see what that larger agenda is, and then process each headline in association with what you believe to be the larger agenda. And I think the larger agenda, whether you read Klaus Schwab's book or you read the writings of Patrick Wood over at technocracy.news, if you follow Aaron Day, if you follow Courtney Turner and some of the best, thinkers on the technocratic dark state and the philosophy and the ideology behind techno-fascism and technocracy, you combine that with a one world government, and it's pretty nasty. We can take hope in the fact that there are factions here and they're battling it out. And hopefully they'll annihilate each other before they can annihilate the world. And that's kind of the hope here. And we can emerge unscathed and the truth can come out. We can have some semblance of liberty and freedom and a little bit of truth maybe for the next 50 to 100 years until they try again. Oh, future as you should see me try to fill in devastatingly handsome Dr. Joy, my husband, with all of this info. It does not go well. It does not go well. It's a lot. It's a lot. A lot of people don't want to see it. And I desperately hope that I'm wrong. That's the other thing that people don't understand about me when I say these things. Like, I don't like to be right about these things. I would prefer to not be right about these things, to be honest. But yeah, this is where we are. So we hit Trump's bunker. We've talked about the escalation of the energy lockdowns coming to the United States of America in New York and also Denver. I think we're going to see many, many more headlines on that. We'll get to the new evidence that is corroborating key aspects of Trump accusers, very disturbing accusations in the Epstein files against Trump, of rape and just sadistic torture of a 13-year-old girl, among other accusations. And these are FBI reports. And these are also reports that they didn't release or had redacted in the original release of the Epstein files. So there was absolutely a cover up by Trump's team, the DOJ and Pam Bondi, to keep these out. In the second round of the release, they did come out, and they're in an article from the Post and Courier. It is a local South Carolina newspaper that is located. The young girl who made this accusation, she was an adult when she made the accusation, lived in South Carolina, but essentially this is verifying certain non-central details from the FBI interview summaries with this unnamed woman. And she was interviewed 4 times by the FBI in 2019 as part of the Jeffrey Epstein investigation, mentioned by name Donald Trump multiple times in some horrifying accusations. There was never an investigation after that, and it was buried. This report now is looking at some key elements of her story that have been corroborated. We're going to look at that tomorrow because we're not going to have time for that today. Do not obey. Scandals get buried by foreign wars. Yes. And the foreign wars will also justify the collapse of the economy, which is also, I believe, incoming. Purposeful collapse of the economy, chaos on purpose, contrived crisis. Mr. Worthless Eater, Shannon, some of us agree that they have proof of extraterrestrials and they'll throw a fake extraterrestrial at us. I've seen no evidence whatsoever. I've seen absolutely, in fact, Mr. Worthless Eater, I think that the whole alien thing is a psyop. I don't think they're real at all. I think it is to destabilize us. And if there were aliens, we would know it, right? It's like I said during the pandemic. I told my audience mid-March of 2020. I'm like, listen, if there is a real world, like deadly worldwide pandemic that's killing everyone, you're gonna know it. Your neighbors, you're gonna see people dropping dead in the street. Like when the crisis is actually happening, you will know it because it'll be right outside of your front door. Other than that, we are constantly subjected to theaters of war where we think the crisis is happening because it's dominating in the media or it's dominating in social media. So we think that the illegal immigration invasion is happening everywhere where it's really only happening in certain areas and not really touching the majority of Americans. And, expand that to all of the super scary things that they push out there. Believe me, if there were aliens capable of smashing the world, they would have showed their faces by now. They wouldn't be lurking in the shadows and waiting for the US government to like pull the mask off and show us. So that's where I am on that. If you think there's an alien, show it to me, and then I'll believe in the alien, right? What I can see is what's happening in the economy that is impacting my family every single day. Every single day. There are very real things that we can see every day. I can see the ramifications of mass injection of 200 million Americans every single day in the health of my friends and family. And the stories and the occurrences of turbo cancers and just, bizarre health impacts. So you can see the things that are happening that are bad, you will be able to see them in your real life. A lot of what we're seeing on social media and in media in general is an illusion. And that's what I absolutely believe. Wait until you see it. Bigfoot as well, right? And it's always stories. I know you get the guy who used to be in the military and he was an intelligence guy and he lives in your town and he told you he saw him. He saw him with his own eyes. I know the stories are out there. Because people lie all the time, Buskman. People lie all the time. I think we're learning that from our executive in chief. So let's go to the story that I mentioned earlier, because this is important. We're gonna close out the show with this. And we're gonna do that after the ad break. Thank you, Annie, for reminding me that I have to take another ad break. We've got about 10 more minutes. And speaking of fake news, speaking of liars in media and contrived news and all of the things, we're seeing more and more come out about big news organizations on the right and some very sketchy funding. And this came out, it was sent to me by Tiffany Cianci. She's a fantastic researcher, a brilliant woman. She's been on the SJ show multiple times. And from Danker Intel, it was on Twitter, but it was sourced. So this is in a non-account on Twitter, but it is sourced. And we're going to take a look at it. This implicates TPUSA, The Charlie Kirk Show, Josh Hammer, Dennis Prager, and more, and accuses Salem Media with documentation of taking a lot of money from foreign interests in foreign governments. So it's a big deal. When we come back, we're going to go through this. I want to get your thoughts on it. And we're going to be doing, this is something that I actually want to do more of a deep dive on because there's been a lot coming out on the General Michael Flynn network. I believe that there are networks, pipelines of money that are funneled out to people like myself, influencers, commentators, podcasters, radio hosts, TV hosts, you name it. Massive amounts of funding that are the equivalent of propaganda. And the way that it worked, propaganda is always 99% truth, 1% poison pill, or maybe 2, or maybe 3. And I think it's time that people become very skeptical of every single source. Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Fox News, The Blaze, Salem Media, TPUSA, Daily Wire, you name it, OAN or what is it, OAN or OANN, I'm not sure what that one is, Newsmax. I'm seeing more and more stories looking at the pipelines. And it's not just foreign governments and foreign agencies, but massive, massive tech corporations and political organizations. They are not disclosing that they are taking these monies, and it's impacting their coverage. And so we're going to begin this when we come back. And I'm going to continue this as a theme on the SJ show moving forward, because I think it's really important. And we'll see who we can get on to do a deep dive on this, because I think that would be very helpful for people in discerning their news sources. So keep it tuned right here. When we come back, we'll continue with this. Again, as we go to break, do me a favor, thumbs up, comments, questions, likes, shares on all of the platforms. It helps to grow the SJ show organically. So if you haven't given us a thumbs up yet, right here on Rumble, please do so right now. If you're not following the SJ show on Rumble, please do so right now. Also, please head over to theshannonjoy.com, theshannonjoy.com. This is my independent platform. It is my website. I own it. And the email list that I have created with all of you, those of you who have signed up for the Shannon Joy daily email, it is so important. It's the most critical element in terms of my connection to all of you. Should I be deplatformed on YouTube or Twitter or Rumble or any of the platforms that we are pushed out on today, it is my one line to all of you. It's where I can contact you directly and let you know where to find the show. I will never forget the censorship of 2020. I was permanently suspended on Twitter. I was completely shadow banned on Facebook. I lost the entirety of both audiences in the span of 30 days. In the early days of the Shannon Joy show, I was completely yanked off of a radio station because I continued to critique Donald Trump, and it was a right-wing radio station. Overnight, I lost my entire platform. Thank God 10 years ago, or was 8 years ago, I had built up a presence on Twitter and Facebook and was able to continue the show until I moved it to another platform, a 50,000 watt radio station just down the road. But I am very familiar with being deplatformed and it happening very fast. That email list is everything. It is my pipeline to all of you. So if you haven't signed up for the SJ email list, please do so today. Go to theshannonjoy.com. That is theshannonjoy.com, and make sure that we're connected. All right, we're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we're going to continue with the last 10 minutes of the SJ show. Keep it tuned right here at 123.com/joy. Everything that you're going to need for preparation: generators, solar panels, Faraday products. If you want to disappear and protect yourself from the surveillance state, they have an entire line of amazing Faraday products called dark bags. They're always 10% off at the satellite phone store if you go to sat123.com/joy. That is sat123.com/joy. The satellite phone store has supported the Shannon Joy show for many years. They are amazing partners, and let's help the companies that help keep the lights on here at the Shannon Joy show. So if you are in the market for any of their products or services, make sure you use that promo code JOY and go to sat123.com/joy. That's sat123.com/joy. Welcome back, everyone, to the final segment of the Shannon Joy show. I see you on YouTube, Deepwater One. Alien UFO holograms need darkness to look real. Never thought about that. Maybe that's why they want to darken the skies in the United States of America under the guise of an energy lockdown. Very interesting. On X, Joseph Phillips, Trump was and always has been a Democrat. Yeah, I agree. That's what I said, 10 years ago. Live for Jesus 7 on YouTube. Truth. Trump the Destroyer. Amen. I've been saying the same thing. I see you, Pat Fuller, as well. On Substack, great to see so many chatters and comments on X and YouTube and Substack as well. And I thank all of you on the live chat on Rumble, of course. So this is very interesting to me. This was pushed out about a day ago, and it was sent to me by Tiffany Cianci, who I trust. I've had her on my show many times. She's a phenomenal researcher and just an amazing woman. She's absolutely brilliant. And this really caught my attention. And we're going to expand on this more. but this is from Dankster Intel. I did not link it in the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show, but I'll link it tomorrow. If I don't, remind me and I'll link it to you. But this is sourced. They have the documents. And this is what they said. Did you know that the Charlie Kirk Show, Josh Hammer, Dennis Prager, Lara Trump, Larry Elder, Hugh Hewitt, Dinesh D'Souza, Sebastian Gorka, Brandon Tatum, and Todd Starnes, among others, all broadcast on a network whose chief strategy officer is a federally registered foreign agent for the Israeli government. This is not an allegation or a theory. He's a FARA registration. It's 7649. It's been filed with the DOJ, and it's on public record. So his name is Brad Parscale, and he holds two titles simultaneously. His first title is one, Chief Strategy Officer at Salem Media Group. This is the largest Christian conservative radio network in America. And his second title is the principal at Clock Tower X LLC, which is a registered foreign agent, and he's registered as a foreign agent. He obtained a $6 million contract with the Israeli the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs via Havas Media Group in Germany. It's actually 9 million now because they grabbed another 3 million post-filing. The FARA filing states that the Israeli government is sending the money for messaging. And this messaging, they would like to be integrated into the Salem Media Network properties. So these are the contracts. It's what the contracts are saying. But Salem, the company, the media company, never appears as a disclosed vendor anywhere in the registration. The gap has a legal name under 22 USC code 614B, willful omission of material information of foreign agent registration. And since Pam Bondi dissolved the Foreign Malign Influence Center at the DOJ, there is nobody left to enforce it, which is very convenient. So the next time, what it appears happened here is that Brad Parscale, who is the chief strategy officer at Salem Media, also a registered foreign agent in his title as a principal at the Clock Tower X LLC, is taking $9 million from a foreign government and using that $9 million to funnel in and influence anyone and everyone who broadcasts on the Salem News Network. Now, I want to speak to this because I have firsthand experience with Salem News Media, and this was in my functioning with Steve Deace on the Steve Deace Show. And Steve Deace actually told a story. This was back before he became super Trumpy. I wasn't on the Salem News Network, but Steve Deace was on the Salem News Network. And it appeared at that time that the Salem News Network was operating, they were pretending to be a conservative media organization that was fair and balanced and was reporting news. But it appeared at that time that Salem had taken money. This was years back. This was maybe, I don't remember if it was in the first Trump campaign for his first administration or the second, but essentially, no, I think it was the first. It was assumed that they took money from the Trump administration because they put out, it was like a nationwide conference call for every single voice, every single media person at Salem. And Steve Deace was on the conference call, and they basically said in no uncertain terms, this was during the primaries, the first primaries, when Trump was going up against Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio, and Jeb Bush, I believe, was still in the mix there. And basically it was very early on in the primary, and they basically said, it's over. Everybody wants Trump. Trump is the guy. And that is what our audience was, and that's what you're going to give the audience, essentially, is what they said. So this one didn't surprise me. If Salem Media then would take money on the DL from a candidate or candidate organization in the midst of a primary, which is, I think, what happened. I'm just now remembering this. As I'm reading this to you, So the reason that my memory is a little foggy on this, and if anyone has any, there were a lot of news stories about this. So if anyone has anything from back then, let me know, because I remember it was a thing. But as I'm reading this, Salem Media, if they were willing to take money on the DL to fix a primary, they certainly would be willing to take money on the DL on behalf of a foreign government. And so he concludes, the next time the Charlie Kirk show, people on the Charlie Kirk show, or any of these network people tell you what to think about Israel, the next time Josh Hammer frames the Iran war narrative, the next time Dennis Prager explains Judeo-Christian values, ask yourself who wrote the script. Because FARA number 7649 tells you exactly who. So this is very important. And there's a lot more out there. This is just one side of the faction. I will tell you, there is the pro-Israel, war forevermore, Lindsey Graham, Donald Trump, Mark Levin, Josh Hammer, you name it, right? I mean, they are locked in, Ben Shapiro, on war forevermore on behalf of Israel. Okay, they're the neocons are in that mix as well. And then there's the anti-war faction, people like Tucker Carlson, people, it seems like Joe Kent right now, and some of the other America First people who are firmly against the war. But I've seen news reports that there are questions about foreign agencies and foreign agents and foreign governments funding them as well. And I will tell you, Joe Kent, something about Joe Kent, I know he's coming out and he's against this particular action by this particular president in Iran, but he was lockstep in with Donald Trump up until about 1 month ago. Okay, so Joe Kent has been all in on everything Trump has done since as long as he's been involved with this administration. And now all of a sudden he's the new whistleblower. He's on Tucker Carlson. He's making all of the media rounds. Oh, and he's also hanging out with General Michael Flynn, who has also been accused of having a network, a money network that is funding influencers, including people like Lara Logan. So there are accusations surrounding Laura Loomer and where she's getting money. So all of them, none of them are disclosing to their audience. And I can tell you for sure, right now at the Shannon Joy Show, we have no money. We have no money. There's no pipeline here on the Shannon Joy Show. There's no money coming in except for the people that you see advertising on the show because I disclose it. I would never take money on the DL, especially from a political group, a political organization, a foreign government, or a foreign agency without disclosing it to all of you. And I probably wouldn't take the money in general, right? I could see, I would be perfectly happy running ads for Tom Massey. I would run ads for Tom Massey all day long, but you would know they were ads, right? Because I think Tom Massey is great. So if they did a little ad campaign with me and they said, hey, we really want to win in the midterms and we can win, will you run some ads for us? Would you do a live read for us? Would you endorse Tom Massey? I would do it in a second. And I would be happy to take a little bit of compensation for it in terms of advertising. The difference with me is that I would tell you. That's what makes what they're doing so insidious and so dishonest. And I'm telling you right now, guys, they're all doing it. My hunch is that they're all doing it. Every platform, nearly every mainstream voice that you see in some way, I believe, is taking money on the DL. This is just one example. I don't want to just hang Salem Media out to dry, although they should be hung out to dry. It's happening in left-wing media as well. It's just in a different way. They're different pipelines. I think that there's a Steve Bannon pipeline. I think that there's a General Flynn pipeline. I think there's a Tucker Carlson pipeline. I think that there is a Salem Media pipeline. And I think different factions are waging psychological operations and messaging warfare with each other through these people that look just like me, people who give you the news every day. People who give you the news, and 99% of the news that they give to you is truthful and you agree with, and I would probably agree with as well. Joe Kent was on a podcast. He was on Redacted. I saw it on the live chat yesterday or earlier today. and was singing the praises of Palantir. Palantir is one of the most evil corporations that has ever existed in the United States of America. It was created by intelligence agencies. It was created by the CIA. They gifted Peter Thiel and Alex Karp billions of dollars to develop some of the most insidious surveillance and drone warfare techniques we would ever see, that many are worried will now be deployed against American people and dissidents in our own country. Palantir is the worst of the worst. It's an evil, evil corporation. Joe Kent loves them. What's that all about? So you could take 99% of what Joe Kent is saying, but if there are massive whoppers, and this is how I discern about all of these people. I have a couple litmus tests. COVID-19, the lockdowns and the shutdowns. Who supported them, who didn't? Donald Trump. Who got it about Donald Trump? To me, it's blatantly obvious who this guy is. The Tate brothers. Who ran cover and pimped for the pimps? Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens. So I don't choose sides here. You guys know that I don't choose sides here. I'm just saying something is very shady. And this piece about Brad Parscale and Salem Media running an operation on evangelical Christians through Salem Media and people who speak for Salem Media and who benefit from their platform is something that everyone needs to know. And I love that CJP Rumble. Natalie and Clayton made him look dumb yesterday, unintentionally. The Parscale thing is nuts. Yeah, I'm just going to look. Joe Kent came on the scene and my hackles went up immediately. I mean, he literally had the podcast show tour booked within seconds of his resignation letter. And a big General Flynn hosted, I think Candace Owens, I think it was some kind of Catholic thing that he was attending. There's a weird, yeah, it was Catholics for Catholics, weird Catholic psyop going on as well, involving Candace Owens, Russell Brand, General Flynn, apparently Joe Kent. I mean, it's also weird. I think Nick Fuentes is a Catholic as well. So there's the evangelical psyop, there's the Catholic psyop, there's the pro-Israel psyop, there's the anti-Israel psyop, there's, what else am I missing? Again, this is why I say it's like one psyop wrapped in another one, wrapped in a military operation in this just madness of 2026. It gives you a headache just trying to figure it all out. Anyway, we've run out of time. So I want to thank all of you for being with me today on the SJ Show. We started a little bit late today, about 12:17, so I went a little bit longer in the show. Thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you to our sponsors, who we disclose very prominently here on the SJ Show so that you know where all the funding mechanisms are. Please support them, patronize them, because that's the only way that we keep the lights on here in the SJ Show. PCM and Associates, the wellness company, the satellite phone store, and of course, Peter Schiff and the team over at Schiff Gold. We couldn't do it without all of them, and I couldn't do it without all of you. Thank you for being with me today. We'll be back tomorrow to do it all again right here on the Shannon Joy Show.